We did it.
Okay. So welcome everyone.
Time to execute the master plan.
So we're gonna do another Smogcast like we did last year for doubles. So for all the Twitter players who don't know like who the fuck Shadow Monster 7 is, and you're a mysterious doubles player, hopefully you'll be able to learn something from this. But I'm Emma, and I'm playing for the Dynamos, and then I have a bunch of other people here with me if they want to introduce themselves.
All right. Hi, I'm Lunar. I'm playing for the Terrors.
Hey, I'm Nils. I'm supporting for the Terrors.
Hi, I'm Quiznos. I'm playing for the Foxes.
Hey, I'm Ray or Strats. I'm also supporting the Terrors.
No, you're simply not.
Okay, I'm actually starting for the platoon.
Hello, I'm umbry and I'm actually not playing.
That is
Good
indeed
choice.
true.
Hello, I'm Z. You can also call me Z, and I'm supporting for the platoon.
Okay, that's everybody right.
Yes.
So we're gonna go in order of the teams and just like give our thoughts on like the duo, how we expect them to do and such, and then after every pair, we're gonna give them a ranking of either tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 to start, and then at the end we're gonna like actually do the rankings and then have our collective rankings. I guess it'll be pretty cool. So the first team up is the Arena Spartans, who has Animus, who they got for 11.5k, and then Akuru something, Akuru Kopyu, whatever, for the support as for 3k. So what do people think about the Spartans pairing?
So Animus is like coming back after a little bit of a hiatus, is focusing on VGC. But Animus did get into the OST playoffs, and so did Akaru. They're both pretty solid players. I just don't know how much Akaru actually builds. But I think Akaru brings good support to the team with like outside support too. So I could see them actually doing pretty well if Animus can get back into the DOU grind.
Yeah, Animus played in Smogon Sleep Draft 3, I believe, where he did like okay. I think he went 4-6, which isn't bad by any means, and then he was 0-1 in SPL 10. So he's played in these tournaments before, but it's definitely been a while since he's took this tier seriously, that's for sure.
Yeah, played under Mint 16, that username, and yeah, I remember him doing fine in the last Snake of Gen 7. I expect him to do pretty okay. And he's like obviously been a very capable VGCer.
Yeah,
so
like
good things.
Like I saw him at like Secaucus Regionals, and he top cutted there. He qualified for Worlds, so he's definitely really accomplished VGCer. And like he's really been on the grind recently in doubles, at least. Like I see him asking like a lot of questions. Like he's watching replays and stuff. So he definitely seems like really motivated and wants to win.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going. So for those of you who don't know, Kyle and I are like really big buddies of VGC, and we talk teams and prepare a lot. And so I was like, I was the one that put him on to sign up for OSTT, and I was the one that put him on to sign up for SCL. I'm like, we have no VGC in the fall. Come play some DOU with me. We've been grinding out some games, and I think his improvement is like pretty sharp. I think by the time the tournament actually starts, he'll be in really solid form. 11.5K was his price. It's a little high for someone I think that only had like kind of middling performances in officials when he was actively playing DOU. But I do think that honestly he has the ceiling to kind of make use of that potential. So being supported by Akaru, he's also supported by SMB in the entire country of Spain, which is really nice. But I don't know how much synergy they're going to have together, so that's probably something that they're trying to work out this week. I know from first-hand experience, it kind of sucks when you get your DOU partner isn't someone that you're too familiar with. But like Bandit and I became great friends after last year's SCL, so I think it just really depends on how much work you put into being familiar with your support.
Yeah, for sure. I also am a little concerned about time zones.
Yeah, it's
how similar is. I don't know what time zone is Akaru.
I think +2, maybe.
Are they Latam or Europe? I should really know this.
We gotta stalk their Smogon profile to see if
I
they ever.
would-
Oh, they're from Mexico, so that's a fine time zone.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
I was gonna
Yeah,
say
so-
Animus
so-
is up all the time anyway.
Yeah, so that's a fine time zone. Akari should be fine support. They bring a lot of high variance teams, I think, which could actually be good for Animus at the start while he's still getting into it.
Yeah, they've been popping off. Like they were 9-1 OSDT with the highest resistance, and they just won Doubles Classic for the old.
Yeah, Carl's been doing really well recently, so they definitely deserve the support in slot. And I think Animus and Akaro can work it out, and it might be a bit of a slow start, but I think they can definitely pick it up towards the end of the season.
Yeah, Animus is in the tier of players where I would not be too surprised if they won 6-3. That type of thing. I'd be a little surprised if they did much better than that, but it's hard to go 6-3 and then using that as a 5-4 very much on their way.
Yeah. So does anybody
It's
else?
also, like Z said, it's the best time to get VGCers, because
Yeah.
there's no VGC.
Nothing for them to do.
I think I just like this duo. I think like I'm a little more higher on them than I thought I would be, but I think Animus is a good player. And if worst case scenario, if something happens, I think Akaru is a good substitute that can pop in too. But I think they'll be good together. I could see like a pretty decent run from them, if not like a good run.
Yeah, the last time Animus played Doubles OU is when I got him to sign up for the first World Cup, and then he went 0-1 in the sub. But I'm sure we'll be much better this time. I have faith. So, does anybody else have anything they want to say about the Spartans Doubles OU?
The only other thing I was going to really say is, yeah, the 11.5 was kind of unexpected. I feel like a lot of the prices this year were a little unexpected because he went for more than JRL, and JRL has been very consistent. So I wonder if people were like watching him or he talked to people.
Yeah.
Maybe got hyped up a little bit.
So, like, you had Nails and Spurific at 17 and 15.5, and then you had the VGCers at 12 and 11.5, and then you had, like, the doubles mains, like JRL at 10, Quiznos at 8, and then even, like, Franny at 3, stuff like that. So, yeah, people were definitely putting a lot of stock into the VGCers this year. So, now, I think I want to give them, a ranking. Do we want to put the Spartans in Tier 1, Tier 2, or Tier 3 for doubles pairs?
I think they're
This
definitely a
feels
tier
like a-
2.
Yeah,
Tier
this
two,
is
tier
the
two is very safe.
Yeah.
Two is
classic 2.
Yeah, that's
Good
fine.
job, everyone.
Yeah, they're
And then
Yeah,
we'll come
they're-
back at the end and
yeah.
actually rank them in between the tiers.
I think they're the definition of a tier 2. They've both got enough experience. They're not going to flop, and they haven't popped. They haven't shown tier 1 in the past, so it's hard to put them there. It's just very clear middle of the pack, which is not bad. It's just they're
Yeah.
pretty average pairing.
So
The
next-
last
go ahead.
I was gonna say, last thing I'll say is I know Akaru's been around for a long time, and I think this is the first time Akaru's ever been in like one of these team tournaments, right?
Yeah.
So this could be like, if they do well, this could be like the start for Akaru becoming like a staple, if they want to be. This is like a big deal for them, so they might try hard.
So our next pairing is the Circuit Breakers, who got Toxygen for 3K, and then also Tenzai for 3K. And so, for background, Toxygen supported Spurific last year on the Breakers, and they went 6-3. And then he even subbed into the playoffs when the game didn't matter and won, so that was pretty cool. And then they did well in Doubles World Cup and DPL, and I'm really glad they're getting the starting opportunity now. I definitely think they're ready for it, and I'm excited for Toxygen to get his chance in the spotlight.
Yeah, Toxygen's been talking about wanting to start for ever since DPL, I think. Toxygen's been very, very eager to play on the starting lineup of one of these big tournaments. And so I can tell you right now he's going to try extra hard. And then Tenzai and him are pretty good friends. Tenzai's a good player. He builds a lot. He ladders a lot. So I think this is almost like a steal duo in a way. Like they're solid. I wouldn't say they're going to be like, tier 1, but like I could see them like pulling out a decent run. However, I'm a little bit lower on them than most of the other players because there's a lot of good players this year.
Yeah, like I think they got them for a combined 6K, and that's like probably the best 6K pairing you could have gotten, at least to me, for sure.
It's definitely a good
Yeah,
6K pairing. I think Toxin's good for sure. I teamed with him in DPO and he was great. I do think of most of the players, they aren't like top half playing wise, but they definitely have it in them to string together wins, and I know they're going to try hard for sure. And they definitely deserve this spot, so it'll be interesting to see if he can really take it to the next level and show that he's worth.
Yeah, I know Burns left us, but he definitely, I think he raved about Toxygen last year as support. So like we continue to see like the support to starter pipeline, which is cool.
Yeah. It's important to say that they have lower expectations. Going for 6K combined as a doubles pairing is it's really nice to, like, if you go 5 and 4 as a 3K plus 3K pairing, you're broken. Your team is like in an amazing spot because of that. And so like the pressure is very much not on relative to like playing in a trophy tour. And so they just get to bring whatever they think will give them the best chance to win, and they don't have to worry about dropping games here and there because like they don't have to carry their team.
I think the main thing that stands out to me is that Toxin is probably going to be like one of the most like active people. Like if you around in one of these team tournaments, you know that a lot of times you'll go and test with other people in your field that aren't necessarily like your support slot, just because it gives you a wider array of games and testing opponents and stuff like that. And last year, Toxin was probably the most active person that I saw getting in games, and I think a lot of that is going to go very far for that improvement this year. I think the starting slot is very deserved. However, the big con here is that there's just not a ton of data. As far as I know, his only game in SCL one was versus me when he subbed in and the match was decided. And he didn't make top cut of OSDT, I don't think. So there's not a lot of big stage play, which is probably where the 3K comes from. It's like this guy definitely knows what he's doing and is capable enough, but there's just a bit of a question mark there. And I think the same can be said with Tenzai, who was in Snake 4, I believe, but not in last SCL. But I know he had a big role in, I believe it was the LANs DPL run, where they made finals. So I think it's just kind of like definitely on the lower side, but also like they do have some upside too. I think that I could easily see them getting the broken 5-4 run, like Nail said, if things go right.
Yeah, so Tenzai went 2-2 in Snake 4 after subbing in from Amoric. Didn't play in SCL 1, which is a bit of a snub. And then like Toxygen, so yeah, he doesn't have really much SCL, but for what it's worth, in DPL Doubles World Cup, he's 9-7 combined. Was 4-3 in the latest DPL and 3-1 in the latest Doubles World Cup.
Yeah, I think that they have potential. I agree with everyone though, where like they're not the top, and I wouldn't even say they're like as strong in middle of the pack, but they have potential. And being like the 3K picks, on top of that, the Breakers I know the Breakers wanted Toxygen, so they probably were super happy to get him and his support for 3K. But yeah, it was I think like they have potential, but I could see them flopping a little bit. But as long as they get a few wins, I mean, their price tag's worth it. And it's his first team tournament too. It's hard to come in and just dominate in terms of like starting.
For sure.
All the two of them have to do, like Nails is alluding to, like if you win 4 or 5 games, like that's great value for 6K combined for a slot.
Yep. Yeah, like 3-6 is probably the baseline of they're not hurting their team. And then 4 and 5 for 3K is definitely worth it. I mean, anything past there is just you're like winning the tournament for your team at that point if you go like 6-3 at 3K.
Yeah,
or you're not not quite, but like you're giving your team like a lot of extra value.
Yeah, I wonder if it's like a Bandit Z situation from the Terrors last year, or like if Toxin just starts to struggle, they can always just throw in Tenzai too, and like mix and match for sure. Because Tenzai is definitely a common player as well.
Yeah, you bought yourself 2 shots, and you can take 2 shots.
Yeah. So does anyone else have anything to say about Circuit Breaker's pairing?
I think it's mostly been covered.
All right. Where do we want to place them? What's here?
2,
I
3.
think they should probably be
I
the
think-
highest tier 3.
Yeah, I agree.
That sounds about right.
All right, we'll put them in tier 3 for now. And so our next pairing is the Indigo Platoon, who has Z Strats and Z. So both of them will be.
Oh, I
sitting out for
love
this
this pairing.
discussion. But yeah, I'll start off
Z
again.
Doubles Smogcast.
So Z Strats went for 12k on the retain, and then Z was a 5.5k support pick at the end. And so I teamed with Z Strats last year, and also in Doubles World Cup, and also in DPL. So I've definitely been playing with him a lot. But I feel pretty confident saying, at least to me, that Z Strats is the best SS Doubles OU player overall. And I think he is excellent in preparation for sure after teaming with him last year and all the time. So like he was my number 1 pick when I did the PR. Like I think he's definitely like a fantastic player, prepper, everything. And then I think and he went 7-2 last year as well. And then I think Z is pretty solid support as well to make sure to like help him build and test and make sure he keeps on track. So I really love this pairing.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
I
that's the
think
best
it's
pair.
solid. Yeah. I'm pretty high on Z Strats too. I think Z Strats is at least top 3 SS, if not top 1 SS DOU. And then I mean Z's had fantastic runs in SS DOU too. I'm a big fan of Z's teams that she has brought, and they're good friends too. I mean, we said before, it's kind of hard sometimes to team with someone that you don't know too well, but I mean, they're good friends. I'm sure they've talked about teams in the past, and I see this being like one of the best. This is potential another fantastic run by Z Strats after last year.
Yeah, I mean, everyone watching this should know that Ray is quite good, and Z is an excellent support. And yeah, I expect both of these, both of them to do great. Not too much to say about it.
But my one question for this is, I know that Ray, he loves his wild Pokemon like choices. Sometimes he likes to run some pretty crazy teams, and I'm sure I know you can confirm if you want, but I know he challenged me sometimes during SCL last year with some very, very crazy teams, and I'm sure Emma was like, "No, you can't bring that." So I don't know.
He tried to load up the Dusclops team, and I was like, absolutely not. We got
I'm wondering if Z will stop.
Well, I like crack myself, so it just depends if we both share one brain cell or not when it comes to building some super whack shit, you know. So maybe not.
I'm
The Dusclops
excited.
team is fire. I'm standing by this opinion.
Alright, and then just for like some further context for the viewers, so Z-Strats, he debuted in Snake 4 supporting Quillo and then played last year and went 7-2. Z also debuted last year with not the greatest.
You can read my record out of it.
She may or may not be the worst official team tournament player of all time at 0-6, but she's tried her best. And then Z-Strats is usually quieter on the circuit, but he was 5-0 in Doubles World Cup when he was playing SS. And then 3-4 in DPL, but some of that was Doubles UU, which we could not forget to save our lives. And then Z also won Doubles World Cup 2, I believe, with US East. And then last year she was circuit finalist, and I think she was also like the fall seasonal finalist before taking a bit of a break. But both of them are very accomplished players in the tier. And so if nobody else has anything to say, like I'm gonna put them in tier 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tier 1. Not much to discuss.
Very clear tier 1.
Z-Stash's ego is popping off right now. I hate this.
I'm very humble.
Tier 1 until they bring Dusclops team.
Still does
Unless I win with it, and then they
Oh yeah, then tier 0.
Does
That's
definitely.
Dustlocks get ally switch?
It
It
does.
does.
Yes, it
Yes.
for sure.
Alright, our next pairing is the
Team
Malsaur-
actually runs ally switch. Don't worry.
Perfect.
How many
Uh,
ally switches?
The next pairing is the Malsaur Foxes with qsns, who went for 8k, and then Denanger Badger, who went for 5k. So qsns is a doubles veteran in the scene, 23 and 21 all time. Or no, that's doubles World Cup. Sorry, I was lying. 15 and 14 all time in Snake, SPL, and SCL. Their last time out was in Snake 4, where they went 3 and 4, and then SPL 11, where they went 5 and 6. And then they had a bunch of supporting runs before that where they didn't get to play too much. And then Badger is pretty new to the doubles scene overall, I guess. This is their first official team tournament. They played in Doubles World Cup and DPL, and I know a lot of people who have teamed with them said they were like an incredible teammate support-wise. Yeah. So, what are people's thoughts about the Foxes?
I think the Endies are looking pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. QSNS is like probably one of the strongest players that did not end up playing in last SCL, if not like the strongest. So nice to see them back. They beat me pretty good whenever we play test games, admittedly. I think that our good friend the Badger will also be one of the most active in terms of supports, just making sure that everything is, well-oiled machine. As they're that's kind of just how they are when it comes to things like that. So I think this is going to be a very strong-looking core, and I don't think that there's a lot of like question marks about whether they're going to bomb or not.
Yeah, I do not expect a bomb. I also think they're really like the stealth value because Badger's like probably in top tier, and QSS is like pretty comfortably in the tier 2, and then
You are cutting out a little bit.
basically I think 8k for QSNS is probably on the low side, at least relative to some of the VGCers that were taken. And so, like, I think, just pretty good value, and I think they should do, like, pretty well.
Yeah, QSNS was 8k, which is below JRL, the VGCers, and then Nails, Burns, and Strats. So on the lower end, Chris was.
I don't know how starter QSNS is only 1k more than support Lunar, but here we are. I don't know how that happens, but yeah, I've always been high on QSNS. I think that they're a very solid player. They've always been a solid player. I think maybe the price comes from them not playing as much lately, so a lot of people may not actually know where they stand. But I mean, if you're good, usually you can get back into it, and QSNS is one of the best to do it. So I think that QSNS with great support can definitely pop off and do very well. I'd rank them higher on the list of players that are starting.
Yeah, like QSNS hasn't played an official since Snake 4, but like they supported Nails and Umbry last year in the TMs, and like even built the Hail sample, and like they haven't done too hot in their past 2 team tours, but like it's QSNS. Like I always feel like if you're like an elite player like that, like you can usually show up and win, and then especially like we have Badger here who's been like super in tune with doubles and can definitely help them get up to speed if needed. So yeah, I like this pairing for sure.
Wait,
I
what
think
was
this
my
is
record? What was my record the team tour before GPL?
It was 1 and 3 doubles World Cup.
Oh, damn. Okay. Yeah, that's not great.
But 5 and 1 in DPL 7. So
Woo!
there we
Yeah.
go.
I think I'm okay. I think Badger was probably the best support for me because my issue is staying motivated, and Badger's probably the best to help me out with that.
Yeah, I like this duo a lot. I think this duo is great.
I think I would rank QSNS if they had like a different support, more middle of the pack, but I do really think Badger is a really good support for them. They're just super tryhard, and they can build too and help them get into the meta as they're coming back to doubles. And they should be able to do solid.
Yeah. So does anybody else have anything to say, or do we want to put him somewhere?
My vote is for the top of tier 2.
Yep.
Yeah,
Let's put him in tier
I agree.
two. All right, I'll put them above the Spartans for right now. All right, our next pairing is the Orange
Would be tier 1
Islanders.
if it was TFT.
What'd you say, Nance? Sorry.
TFT, insta tier 1.
Okay, our next pairing is the Orange Islanders, who have JRL for 10k and Paraplegic for 3. So JRL played in Snake 4, did not do too hot at 2 and 5 and got subbed out. Didn't play in SCL 1, even though he probably should have, and is now back in SCL 2. Which I know I'm really happy that he's back. He definitely deserves it. Like a really strong player for sure. And then Para played in Snake 4 and STL 1. I think they went 3 and 5 into 4 and 5, and then finds themselves in a supporting role this year. So what do you guys think of the Orange Islanders?
Well, I mean, the first big surprise is obviously Para being a support. I'm pretty sure all of us thought that Para was going to be a starter, but ended up being a support for JRL. But I think Para builds some pretty solid teams. So I think that this could actually be a pretty good duo. Para being support, being able to just focus completely on building, while JRL is probably one of the better pilots in DOU, while not really building, as we saw from OSDT, where he brought the same team 3 times in a row. Brought the same Fest in. I think it's safe to say that Para will probably end up helping a lot with the building process here, which I think is going to work out. Also, JRL going for 10k is probably from the past results in team tournaments, but JRL has always been one of the top DOUers and has always been very consistently both active and just solid. So I think JRL kind of got undervalued a little bit, and we might see something good out of them going on to this tournament.
Yeah,
JRL is someone who I don't think they should have started the year they did start, and I think it kind of hurt their reputation a bit, because they improved a lot since then. They're a great player. They should have started last year. I have very high faith in him as a player. He's caught on to a lot of his mistakes he used to have in the past. Doesn't make them anymore. I think Para as a 3k support's actually great. I think it's quite worth as a 3k support. I am a little concerned of the time zone issues. I'm also mad we didn't get to see JRL and Tenzai.
I know.
Yeah, I think literally everybody wanted that video, right? It just clicks. Way better than any of the other support
All the stuff
options.
we said about qsns and Badger is kind of inverted here. Like, really not sure how well JRL and Para are going to work together.
Yeah, I mean, Para is a good builder, which is good, but it is a weird pairing.
I think they also differ a lot in styles. Because Paraplegic likes a lot of these balanced games, whereas Gerald really shines when playing hyper offense.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah.
Well,
That's gonna kind of like if you and your support partner don't match in terms of like building ideologies, especially when you aren't friends. It's a little easier when you are friends, and like it just makes compromising on things easier. But when you don't have that relationship established and you aren't like too in sync with how you like to approach the game, it can kind of lead to situations where maybe they just don't work that well altogether, and then that results in a more inactive chat, and that results in less test games, and yeah, like it can have a very negative snowball effect if you don't make the effort to really work hard together.
It's not that it like completely derails the season, but it just like it makes the engine work slightly less efficiently. You know, it just slows it down a little bit, like you were saying.
Para passed me some of his teams because I was trying to get back into SS. And I cannot see JRL just pulling up with any of these. Like maybe one of them, but yeah, I think that was my primary concern with this duo. Like JRL is a phenomenal player. Para is a great builder. It's just there's just going to be a lot of there's just going to be a lot of mismatch, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I was just gonna say, I'm pretty sure Para used to be the Psy spam guy. So
True.
I think that there could I don't know. I have a lot of faith in JRL's play, and I think that Para is a good builder and can compensate for what JRL needs. So as much as it's a weird pairing, I could 100% see it working out. And another thing about this pairing is it's basically two starters in one. So worst case scenario, if JRL like struggles a bit or needs like a week off, you have Para playing for you, which I think is still very solid for this team.
Yeah. So honestly, from that perspective, like if they can work out the kinks, this pairing does have a really high ceiling, and like they could scrape tier 1 if they fire on all cylinders and like get have a good team dynamic. But it's also really easy to see them falling flat, and so
Yes.
just the question marks are the issue. But yeah, honestly, very high ceiling from this duo.
Yeah. So where do you guys want to put them? Tier 2?
2.
Tier 2, but I would not be surprised if they ended up in tier 1 or 2 or 3 at the end of the season.
Yep.
And so you just average it out to, they'll probably do okay.
Okay. Do we want to put? So it's right now it's qsns and Badger, then Animus and Accruer.
I will do it between the two.
I think between the two.
All right. We'll put them in between.
My bias says to put Kyle ahead of them, but I don't want that to come off like I don't respect JRL at all or anything. Like he's awesome. So I'm pretty content with him going in the middle.
All right. We'll put them in
I'd say they're basically equal, so I don't think it's really much about being above. Yeah.
I want to put them smack dab in the middle of the pool because they, like I said, they can go in any direction, and it's really hard to guess from the outside how it'll go.
Okay. Next pairing is the Power Plant Dynamos. So we have Spurific, who went for 15.5k, and then me, who went for 6k support. So what do you think of us? Go team.
6k Emma support is a steal.
Yeah.
So this is like the second of the sort of the big three pairings that people have been talking about with the Z-Strats and myself, and then Emma and Spurific, and lastly Nails and Lunar. And so this pairing obviously stands out the most because Emma sort of became probably the most famous support in doubles last year after supporting Ray's phenomenal run. And I don't think she's going to take this year any less prestigiously, being paired up against someone like Burns, who has a super high ceiling. And Burns himself is just like one of the best players around, man. Like he will put you through a spin cycle when you play him. He's very so I don't think that he lets things get to him that much. Like last season, he started out 1-2 and managed to rebound and go 6-3. Like he's solid. His builds are solid. His plays are solid. He's one of the least like mentally prone to tilt players I've seen. Overall, I think it's like this is just a strong build period in prep and in play. And to say that you don't expect big things of them would be pretty rude. I think they're going to have a great season.
This is the pairing that would surprise me the least if they won 9-0. Like,
Yeah.
Potentially even less than myself. Like, Burns is a sick Pokemon player, and Emma was the best support of last season, and they're gonna. It's hard to predict them not to do great.
Yeah, I also had them ranked first in my power rankings just because Justin's insane, Emma's insane. There's not much to say. It's two of the top player and top support, just being paired together.
Yep.
Should do well. Almost no way they flop.
I agree. I don't see them flopping at all. Like Z said, Justin just doesn't tilt. He'll just play each game one game at a time. Loses, go on to the next. So with that in mind, like even if who's Justin playing week 1? Justin's going.
He's playing against me week 1.
Yeah, so even if like that's like a tight game, so even if Justin like loses that, I can still see the 0-1 going all the way up if that ends up happening. So I don't have any issues with this duo. I think they're great. I'm really happy that Emma got paired with Justin because I kind of want to see how Emma works with Justin because we know that the Z-Strats Emma core works. I want to see if she can carry Justin all the way up there too, while Justin also, plays as great as he is. I think it's going to be a fun pair.
Yeah, I'm really excited. Like, I got to play with Z-Strats, and now I get to play with Spurfic. So who are like two of the top 3 players. So that's really exciting for me. And yeah, I love Justin. Like, I'm really excited that I got to play on the Dynamos with him. Like, great guy, fantastic player. I'm ready to go. So, where do you want to put us at?
Tier 1.
Yeah,
Definitely
tier
tier 1.
Okay. Do you want to put us above or below the platoon, Z-Strats and Z?
I think because Splatoon 3 came out, you put them below, but I'm not sure.
Great take.
I'm not sure. It's close.
Below.
I think just because Z-Strats is coming off they're both coming off good seasons.
But Burns was in VGC and used that as the tiebreaker.
True. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Well,
I have the top 3 pretty much dead even heading into the season.
yeah,
I
the
don't know how
top
to-
3
They're pretty much
is very
interchangeable.
interchangeable.
All right, we'll put Z-Strats number 1 because he went 7-2 last year compared to Burns' only 6-3. So we'll give him the respect, I suppose. But,
I beat Ryan, lost to Burns. I put Burns ahead.
I beat Justin and lost to Nails.
all right, there we go. So our next pairing is the Showdown Shoguns, who have Ninja for 4K and Grandma's Cooking for 3K. So Ninja is not like particularly a doubles player historically. They went 10-0 in OSDT and are currently in top 16 after getting a bye, but that's really their doubles experience. Like, that's it. GMA supported Quello last year and then got to play once, did not win. And they are back for their second year of support. So what do we think about this pairing?
I don't know. I mean, I think a lot of us were saying that Ninja could be like a support role, try to like ease their way into doubles, but instead got picked up as a starter over some of the players that we thought may have started. And even though they were, like Crunch, and even though they went 10-0, it's been seen very frequently that despite being good in circuit or in like a big tournament, it doesn't equate to the same as playing in one of these team tournaments where you have to prep every week and you have to bring something different, and people are always getting better and better as the season goes on.
And
So
people are picking for you pretty heavily in this type of tournament, and I mean, it's possible that people were prepping for STT, but my impression is that people don't prep as seriously for that as they do for SCL. So,
well, on top of that, OSDT is best of 3, best of 1. There's a lot more that goes into one specific team.
that's also the fair, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think OSDT is really comparable to SCL with like not only like the level of prep, but also like probably like the level of play. Like Ninja actually had a pretty decent run. Like I think they beat Akuru, Fespi, and Paraplegic, who are like 3 players who would be playing in SCL. But they also played some like not great players, obviously, since there's a 512 person bracket. Yeah, like personally, I would not have picked Ninja to start, like despite their very impressive record. But we'll have to see what he's able to do, and to see if Grandma's Cooking is able to like carry him in the building department and stuff.
Yeah, that's good support too.
Honestly, I'm not sure if I ever read, because they seem. I've seen a few games of Ninja in SDT. They seem to maybe lack the same level of double fundamentals that the other starters have, though they tend to like make a lot of big reads that maybe could help them.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I don't know if I've also talked to them pre-draft, and this is another big concern. They did not seem too confident in their doubles. Like when I was messaging them for like a potential support role, they were basically saying they should only really get drafted for NU, because that's the tier they usually play and are more comfortable with. So it would definitely be interesting to see how they do just being thrown to the wolves in DOU. They do have that good OSDT record, but...
And they also have a good support who's capable of stepping in if they're just not cutting it.
I think...
Grandma's Cooking is capable of being a solid fill-in option.
Yeah, but I also don't think he's like top tier of the supports, which is really what you want when you're...
Yeah, I think he's comfortably like mid-tier support. But yeah, it's I I agree that paraplegic probably should have their starting spot.
I guess like my other issue with this is if Ninja does flop a little bit, like Ray just said, Ninja's not very confident in supporting doubles too. So that means you're left with just straight up GMA or Grandma's Cooking just playing on their own. And
Realistically, you probably just reach out to some of the other double starters and you lean on them for your supporting needs. But yeah, it's not an ideal position to be in.
yeah.
From what I know, they've only built one doubles team. So
That is rough.
Jima's gonna have to do most of the carrying team building wise.
Yeah, like how much does Ninja even want to play doubles? Like, are they like excited? Or are they like, yes, like doubles time? Like it's definitely like the question to me is like how much like are they like because like going 10-0 in OSDT, like signing for OSDT is one thing. Like starting the tier in SCL is like a huge time commitment and like preparation commitment. So I am wondering like how much like are they excited? Like what's the thoughts on this?
Can we get a vibe check?
You get a vibe check.
Right? It's just a huge question marks all around, really.
Right now, the vibes from everybody else are concerning. That's how I put it in one word. Bit of a worry
Let's
world.
see that I've actually talked to Ninja at all. So I'm just I'm basically parroting the vibes that I've heard.
Me too.
I mean, the one good thing Ninja definitely has going for them is that week 1, they're up against Joe UX9, who's also a big question mark in this. So they could actually pull up a 1-0 if Joe maybe isn't as prepared. Since Ninja's played a lot more doubles OU, despite, not playing much at all, than Joe. So it's very possible they might come out 1-0 and then maybe take that
Momentum.
Momentum is a real thing.
Alright.
So
yeah. We want to put
kind of point to that as momentum isn't a real thing, but momentum might be a real thing.
It might be. I'm trying to give something.
Okay, so we want to put them in.
It wasn't for Burns last season.
We want to put them in tier 3, right?
Yeah.
Below Toxygen Tensei.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
think this is the 10th ring sparing, and I don't think there's too much drama about that.
Yep.
Alright.
Which is not a death sentence or anything. It's just hard to give them more, give them higher expectations than anyone else in the field.
It's actually usually not a death sentence.
Yeah, true.
Alright, our next team is the Studio Gibble, who have another 3K core of Frania and Shadow Monster 7. So Frania's played in Snake 4 and SCL 1 recently, going 4 and 5 in both, but noticeably without a dedicated support both times, which is, we all know how much, like, support matters and such. And then I think they've also played in one other one officially. They played in SPL 8, where they went 0-1. So big gap between actually playing games. Shadow Monster played in Snake 4. They were supporting somebody who I don't remember who it was.
Shadow Monster was my support, yes.
Okay. And then he did not get drafted in SCL 1. So what do we think about the Gibble?
You actually forgot an important point of Frenia's resume. On the bigs, he went 4-0 in Black and White OU after our Black and White slot shut the bed to start the season. It was while he was supporting John to an 8-1 record. So, and I think that was also the season I went 7-2 in RBY. So. Our DOU core just like completely smashed that tour. And Fren was definitely a part of that core and like an important part. Had the best win rate of all of us.
Yeah, Frania is 16 and 18, including all tiers. 6 and 7 SPL, 2 and 1 World Cup, 8 and 10 Snake and SCL.
Don't ask how the rest of our team did.
Wait, was that the season I was on your team? No, right?
No, I mean, I don't think we had double support.
Okay.
Yeah, that was the Magma Big season, I think.
So I was on Magma Bigs.
Oh,
Wait a second.
not have been Magma Bigs.
No, I don't think it was. I don't think we had
Yeah.
Frania too.
No, I
Like,
remember that
I at least
story arc.
I
That
really
plot
like.
point.
Oh, go ahead. Finish your story.
I basically did just the friend stepped into a tier that we needed filling in and won his 4 games. And that was sick.
But yeah, like overall, like I think Frania is a really strong doubles player. Like going 4 and 5 in 2 consecutive team tours without any help is like extraordinarily impressive to me, at least. Like
Yeah,
it's,
no,
like,
not
it's
having a
tough.
support is a big hindrance. Just being able to put up a 4-5 record with no support is a strong record. Full stop.
Yeah, he's definitely really impressive. Like on like the flip side, like I know Frania hasn't been too involved like with the tier, like even since last SCL or even leading up to past SCL really. Like I don't think SS Frania is like peak Frania either. Like they're definitely a strong player, but I think they really have been away from the tier for a long time. And I think what differentiates this pairing from qsns Badger, like qsns also hasn't been around recently as much as they have been in the past. But I think like Badger is super active. Like we'll be able to get them up to speed really quickly. Like I have full faith there. I have not the same amount of faith in Shadow Monster to get them up to par quickly. Like I think he deserves to be drafted. Like and I'm happy he is, but I am not sure if Shadow will be able to get Franny up to speed quickly.
Yeah, I think Shadow's been away a decent amount compared to last year too. And Frania has consistently been less and less involved with SSDOU. He is nowhere near his peak. And I also don't love the pairing of Shadow and Frania, just because the time zone difference mainly. But it's also just like a weird pairing. I don't know if they've ever interacted with each other. It would be tough to overcome, I think.
I mean, yeah, I've paired with both of them, and they were both like fine, but
I also don't know how motivated Frania is with Mons anymore. I mean, maybe he is. I haven't talked to him too much about this, but I definitely think his play-in isn't as good as like the other top players that take breaks from current gen and then just have a small, slow start and then just do really well. I don't think his play-in is that high up there, so I think it will be a little bit tough for them to string together a positive record. But he's definitely capable. Like his peak was really good. And I've also never been able to beat him since 2017,
right.
so he has at least one free win there.
This is Strats Slayer.
I will say. Oh, go ahead.
No, I mean, go for it.
Okay. I will say that I felt the same way about Frania last year, but then Frania was one of the number one people to always be challenging me on Showdown, saying like, "Hey, can we play?" and "Hey, can I test?" So I think Frania might come back a bit, but I could definitely see a slow start, and I agree that Frania coming back and not being like a top player is kind of rough, especially in a pool like this. So I could see Frania having a slow start and maybe pulling out like an even record, if that. But the main issue is that you have Shadow Monster support, and even though Shadow Monster is a great player, I've noticed that Shadow Monster is very busy. I'm pretty sure Shadow Monster is in college and is like constantly studying and working on school stuff. So I think it's safe to say that this duo might be a little inactive, which means that the chat might be a little inactive, and so that might hurt the season a little bit for the Gibbles.
I just wanted to say that the friend was not picked in round 2 this time. Friends reunited on Arala's team, but this time at a much more reasonable price. And Friends my favorite of the 3K picks. So I like the points mentioned about the other 3Ks apply here. Like Friend does not have much pressure, and going 4-5 for 3K is already value. So.
Yeah, like Franny has won 4 games the past 2 years without any support, and like I know last year like I had similar questions like how much does Franny care, like especially when he's by himself, like he's gonna be able to motivate it, and he got 4 wins, and like he started off slow, remember, but really picked it off in the second half of the season, and now at least he has somebody on his team to help him out. So yeah, like if Franny like goes 4 and 5 again for 3K, like 6K total invested in the slot, like that's a successful season for sure.
Yeah.
And
I
then
think
like
also
what
the
you're
current
saying,
state of the meta really benefits Frania more compared to last year. Because I've seen a lot more of aggro teams, and that's what Frania really does well with.
and then as Nails was saying, I do think Frania is the strongest 3K player. And like Frania is an excellent player overall, so like I could definitely see them like getting to 4 or 5 wins once again. So,
Yeah, playing for 3K is a little nuts. And again, it creates one of those like kind of lower pressure situations like Nils was talking about earlier. It's not impossible for this core to do good things. It might look grim on the surface, but I do have a little bit of hope for them.
So where do we want to put them if everyone's done?
Top of tier 3, probably.
I would put them top of tier 3. Yeah, I
Alright.
don't think they're too worthy.
Above Toxygen and Tenzai?
I think so.
Alright, we'll put them there. 2 more teams to go. So we have my favorite pairing by far. Tentacle Machines. Joe UX9 for 12K.
Let me go first. Please.
Alright, after I give some
Go
information.
for it.
And then he's partnered with 6K Memoric. So Joe UX9, to my understanding at least, is like a pretty solid VGC player, like really, really good. Has not played doubles in his life, like literally at all. Like this dude has never played Smog on doubles before. Like I see him
That's true.
asking in the doubles Discord, he's like, somebody please best of 3 me. But he's here for 12K. And then Memoric has been a long time starter in these tournaments. Has not done too hot. Was 2 and 3, 3 and 4, 1 and 6 in the past 3, but is now in his comfort element of supports, where I think he will do a pretty good job. Like I definitely rate Memoric's like building abilities quite highly. So I'm personally like pretty excited for this core just to see what happens. But Z, please give us your thoughts on the TMs.
My good friend Joey X9 decided out of the blue that he was going to sign up for Smoga Champions League to play doubles with you. And he decided as a warm-up that he would sub into the fall seasonal and got matched up into SMB. And it looked like SMB was playing a tutorial level. It was not very pretty. Joe does not seem to be very familiar with the dynamics of how this game plays out or the Pokemon that are available to him. So I really hope that he's spent these past few days spamming best of threes in the Doubles League Discord general chat, learning what some of the Pokemon do, maybe how fast Diancie is, maybe these things he doesn't beforehand. But Joe, like in all seriousness, Joe is super. Like when we talked about Ninja being a question mark, I think the question mark was everybody like saying, is he going to go 09 or not? The question mark with Joe is quite literally, where is this guy going to end up? Like he's very good at Pokemon. Okay, like he top cut worlds in VGC. He's coming off some international top fours. Like he's had probably one of the most dominant VGC seasons in the history of the game. But that doesn't really matter all that much for DouYu, other than okay, you have the fundamentals for doubles. Now let's see you get to work. So it's just how much does he care about actually putting in the effort toward the tier and scout his opponents and things like that, because like I find it hard to believe that this is like not just another tournament for Joe. Memoric, on the other hand, is like going to be carrying a lot of the weight in the building side, and if Memoric is left unrestricted, Joe's going to find Electabuzz and War Turtle in his team builder by the end of the season. So it's just so many question marks and things that have to be put in check. But like both of them are very solid. Like they do have what it takes, but I just don't know if they're going to put that into motion. I guess like I could literally see them being bottom of tier 3 or middle of tier 1. I have no clue. It's all going to come down to the games.
Yeah, the biggest question to me, like I feel like if Joe UX9 put as much effort into SCL as he does VGC and was like super tryharding, I feel pretty confident that he could go positive, like at least. Like he might like win like 5, 6, 7 games if he was really, really trying. But like as you said, I have no idea how much Joe UX9 cares. Like this dude's gonna be at a Pokemon Go regional week 2 of SCL. Like how much is he gonna be able to prepare? Like does he care like at all? Like is this just another tournament to him? Like he has no reputation as Smogon. He has nothing to prove to these people. He's already an extremely accomplished VGC player. So I think like to me like really how much effort Joe's going to put in is really going to decide his season.
Yeah, go ahead.
I will say this is the most fun pairing.
It is for sure the most fun pairing.
Absolutely.
I have no idea what to expect, but I'm sure it'll be beautiful either way. Memo is a great team builder when he has someone that can keep him in check and shut down ideas like Magmar that we saw last SCL. But I don't think Joe will do this. So we could just see some insane crack teams. And who knows how well Joe will be able to pilot in DOU, if he'll learn what the Mons even do, how invested he'll be. I do think Joe will be pretty good. His play is obviously solid from his VGC, but especially this year in SS, VGC and DOU are very different. So you are going to have to actually try to adjust a bit. And it'll just depend how fast he can adjust and how in check Memo will be with his teams. Or if he'll just go full crazy.
I think whoever gets him earlier in the season is going to have a much better time compared to later.
Z, is it fair to call Joe a mainer in VGC? And for the more Smogon flavored people, or Smogon affiliated people in the audience, that term has a different connotation. It's actually not really used in VGC, but like he tends to find a team for a format and then play that team to death and like learn everything about it. In Ultra Series, he just spammed Evil Dawn extremely successfully. And I'm like, first, that's a fair thing to say about him, right?
Yeah, that's a very fair point that I didn't bring up. And I will say, team with him in World Cup, like, it's the same type of thing where, you're coming up with, it's Team Tours where you're coming up with new builds every week. And he has been trying to explore things there, but I think you're right that like that sort of honing style is what's made him so effective in VGC, and that's definitely going to be a nerf to him in this tournament.
Yeah, I think it's an extremely effective way to play VGC, regionals, and nationals, and worlds, and like any type of open tour where your opponent can't prep for you. And it is a risky style to bring to a 1v1. You know who your opponent is, and you can bring 6 months tailored to beat only your opponent. Like in a ladder tournament, Joe would be rated higher, but that's not what we're playing. So
I think at least one advantage Joe UX9 has is that there's no information available on him at all. Like he played 2 games in seasonals, which I think hardly counts. Like I guess like you can argue like you'd be scouting Memoric really, but like at least he has nothing to show. At least I guess it's some advantage.
For sure. Yeah, no, getting to get comfort on some stuff and roll up to a win without your tendencies being known at all is just straight up a really big advantage to have.
So I've known Joe since he started Pokemon VGC. Like I played him at his first ever tournament. And if there's one thing I know about Joe, it's that he doesn't care if people know his team. So when I thought SCL and Joe, I thought it was a really funny combination because this is like that tournament where you want to be secretive, you don't want people to know what you're using. But Joe's the kind of guy, he'll spam out a team constantly. He will practice against people that he will see at the event. He told me straight up, he's like, why do I care if people know my team? I'm just going to outplay them anyway. I remember he was practicing against a lot of people that were going to the tournaments that he was going to, and that's what he kept saying. He even gave people the paces of his team that he was bringing because he's just like, I don't care. Like, I just want to practice. So he will grind, that's for sure. But like they were saying, Joe is very much someone who will grind out one team and use one team throughout like a whole entire season. If not, make small changes to said team. And you can't really do that here reliably unless like you're going for like super big brain plays, which I don't think I don't know if he's going to do that.
You're allowed to reuse very limited amounts, but you have to be like very precise with how you do it. Like I reused one team in my first SCL, and I try to avoid doing it otherwise. or my
Yeah.
first snake.
Yeah, I think it's really hard to reuse your teams in these kind of tournaments, especially because like if their opponent notices, but they should notice because scouting's such a big deal. They'll be like, "Wait a second, I saw these 6." Go into the replay, bam, they have the 6 Pokemon right there. They get to see some of the movesets. They get to see items. So yeah, I don't know if SCL is the best tournament for Joe, but I mean, I think he's a very solid Pokemon player, and he's definitely a grinder. So I could see this going well, but at the same time, I could see this being like you guys said, Joe being in the tournament thinking. I could honestly see Joe losing week 1 and thinking he's out of the tournament.
The seal's over.
So I don't know. We'll see.
I mean, there's definitely a chance that we see Memoric subbing in for the latter half of the season, but
That would be dire.
ooh,
Memoric does not want to play, and
Memoric
their
is- he's
official
banned.
record is
He's banned
not
from playing.
great.
He's not allowed to play this year. Joe UX Dennis.
He has to tough it out. I will say, 12K is insane.
Yeah, 12K is insane.
12K is a
okay,
lot of
is an
money.
overpay.
Like, I was kind of hyping him up to managers as like half a meme, and I know Emilio said something to the manager, so I guess it worked. Because 2 people went big on him.
Yeah, I was telling managers too. I was like, this Joe UX9 guy, from like what I've heard, he's like an elite VGCer, definitely 2 pounds and stuff. And man, they took that and ran. They were. The last thing I'll say about the pairing is I do think Memoric will do a good job of like getting this guy in Doubles OU school. Like, I think this is what Memoric really should shine at, is like supporting a really strong player with his building and such. So I'm legitimately extraordinarily excited to see what this pairing does. It's gonna be absolutely hilarious.
Yeah, Memoric did support Crunchman to become a good player, so.
I guess the one other thing to say is I think Mimo and Joe have different time zones completely, or almost. I don't know Mimo's exact time zone.
Probably Memo's +8.
Yeah.
My understanding is that both of them are also capable of being degen, and so they can make it work if they want.
Yeah, I don't see it being an issue.
Okay, where do we want to put this pairing? What tier?
Either above or below JRL Para. Because they're just
really?
another wild card. They're just another wild
I
card.
have them I have them bottom of tier 2. I think they're a bit above top of tier 3, but
I'm okay with bottom of top
I
2.
would
That's fair.
personally put them either below JRL or below Kyle in tier 2.
Yeah, I think below Kyle.
I can do below
Yeah.
Kyle.
I think that their ceiling is high. Like, their ceiling, I would not be terribly shocked if they went 6-3. Like, it would be a little bit of an eye opener, but like, just they hit, and like the talent is there if all of the if everything goes right. But there's a lot of ifs there. It's just and like the risk is the risk of like whether Joe can get used to DOU and whether he cares and whether he can consistently crank out good teams. It is hard to crank out a team every week, and so it's, there's a lot of hurdles, but it's a duo that is capable of playing.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
pretty
fair.
happy with that placement for a lot of the reasons that Nick outlined.
Yep.
Alright, I put them at the bottom of tier 2. And then, so our last pairing is the Uncharted Terrors, who have Nails for 17k and Lunar for 7. So, Nails. This dude shows up to every official team tour and does well. 6-4, Snake 3, 6-3, Snake 4, 6-3, SCL 1. Like, you know him, you love him. And then Lunar, I think, is like a genuinely fantastic support. Like, this dude's gonna make Nails play 8,000 fucking games per year, like, per week. Like, legitimately. I'm a huge fan of this pairing. I think they definitely belong in tier 1. Like, you got, like, debatably the best player and debatably the best support together. Like, that's a winning formula for sure. So what do you guys think?
I would like to describe Nick as like the greatest thinker in the pool, if that makes sense. Like, he's very strong at just calculating paths and taking his time and formulating ways to play the game and when certain plays need to be made and how he's going to arrive at those goals. And I think that is generally what like a lot of his consistency is owed to. It's just the fact that he's smart at figuring those things out and very rarely makes mistakes. There's sometimes where maybe he doesn't get given enough time to calculate all that, but like he's a smart guy. He knows what he's doing. He'll be fine. And Lunar's going to make sure that he's actually, playing through the test games to be like we were talking about Mel putting Joe in Doyu school. I think Chris is going to put Nick in Doyu school pretty heavily, and Nails is not going to fuck around in the test games either. Like he's going to take them very seriously, and I think they're going to come up with some teams that allow Nick to play off of the most of his strengths, and I think that's just what makes this pool so strong. Is you have like one of the strongest players, arguably, like easily top 3, if not higher, paired with somebody who is going to keep him in that type of shape. Like, what's not to love about the pairing?
Yeah, Nails has to play with Umbry and then Lunar. I'm like, what the? Like, this dude is spoiled rotten. But yeah, go ahead.
No complaints.
This is a very broken duo, but we've been talking before about how 3K starters with the 3K subs have like very low pressure. They only need to get like 4 or 5 wins to be broken. This is very much the opposite. This is a 17K Nails with a 7K support. That's a 24K double slot. And so they're really going to have to bring their A game, which they probably will. They will. It'd be very surprising for them to bomb, but they definitely have a lot of pressure to not.
Nails has got to win like 7-8 games this year to like make his price tag worth it. But like I have full faith that Nails is going to do it. Like that's the thing. Like I definitely think they're worth the money.
Yeah, 6 and 3 is the baseline of what's acceptable for my price tag, and like that's really a little bit nerve-wracking considering I haven't played the tier in 9 months. Managers stop bidding quite so much on me, but if I don't know, it's like, yeah, I've got everything working in my favor, so.
Yeah. Nails shows up, Nails wins Pokemon games. It's
absurd.
Pretty simple, yeah. It's not simple for him, but it's simple on the sheet. This is tier 1.
Yeah, Lunar is so great too. Like this is freaking bonkers, man. Like who let this happen?
7K Lunar too. I mean, 7K Lunar is fine because I know Lunar in other team tours has supported OU a bit. Lunar just loves supporting, and he's good at it.
Yep.
I will say I'm very excited for this. I love stacks, and I've teamed with stacks so many times, but I think this is the first time in I don't even know how many team tournaments I haven't been with stacks.
It has been a while.
So it's gonna be interesting. I'm so used to like teaming up with stacks, joining the server and just like spamming like 20 messages at stacks right away. So, but I am really excited. I've known Nick for a long time. Me and Nick are good friends, and Nick is one of my favorite players of all time. So I'm really excited to team up with him, and hopefully we can win out.
All right, we're putting them in tier 1. Where do we want to put them? Right now it's Platoon.
I think all of tier 1 is just interchangeable.
Yeah, like, I think...
Yeah.
Yep.
Like, I could easily be the best record, Justin could easily be the best record, Nails could easily be the best record.
You know what we're going to do? We're going to put all 3 of the tier 1 people on the same line. There we go.
Yes.
I like that a lot, actually.
Yeah.
Genuinely, I think that we are neck and neck, and it comes down to who gets matched up on our games against each other.
Alright, so that's been all the teams. So our final PR was tied for first place in Tier 1, Indigo Platoon, Z-Strats and Z, Power Plant Dynamos, Sporific and Emma, Uncharted Terrors, Nails and Lunar. Tier 2 at 4th is the Mount Silver Foxes with qsns and Danger Badger. 5, Orange Islanders, JRL Paraplegic. 6, Arena Spartans, Animus and Akuru. 7, the TMs with Joe UX9 and Memoric. 8, in Tier 3 now, Studio Gibble with Franny and Shadow Monster 7. 9, the Circuit Breakers, Takajun and Tenzai. And 10, the Showdown Shoguns with Ninja and GMA. So the last thing I wanted to do, like it's been over an hour, is if we have any people that we think were snubbed from the draft and really should have been picked up this year.
Oh, you really just wanted to shout out Crunchman.
Crunchman,
You
this is
really
me.
wanted
Hello,
to say
Crunchman.
Crunchman.
I tried. I was PMing like the managers at the end. I was like, please, like Crunchman deserves this. Let him play. But alas, but this
In
this
a
last
stronger
session,
pool, I don't think Crunchman does, but I think here he definitely could have started and was snubbed.
Yeah, probably
I
over
support
some
the
of the
thought for
later
sure.
players. Can I also say real quick that Ice Master got snubbed from being in this? I don't see him as
Yeah.
support
True,
for
where is
Spartan.
Ice Master? He's
Yeah.
a 10.5k doubles player.
Also, yeah.
Okay. What's up with that? Did he just literally just sign up to support and then put doubles as his tier?
Yeah, he signed up.
Yeah,
for-
he
Yeah,
just,
he
he
wants
just
to
signed up as an
support,
Uber support.
and wanted to go for like 4.5k,
and
and then did not go for 4.5k.
He went for
That's
10.5k.
awesome.
On a team with, I think, already had 2 Ubers players.
Yeah.
So,
But there are some players who are not listed that will help with doubles prep. Like Enzo Nana has been helping with us in Dynamo so far. Like the only reason I didn't list him or like people like PokeAim was like every team had 2 people and it looked aesthetically pleasing. And like I only listed people who were like dedicated doubles support. Like Enzo's gonna be helping in OU too, which is why he's not listed. But and then there's always like the unofficial supports and chats who will be helping out too. So there's definitely more help than just what's listed on my screen right now.
I do think it's pretty nice this year that everybody got away with having a support in
This is the
some sense.
first
Like last
year-
year, I think we only went 8 for 10 on supports, and
This
now
is-
we have
yeah.
like a perfect 20, which is nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, Burns this is the first year in official team tour history where every doubles player has a doubles support drafted on their team.
Rest in
We
peace.
did
Fran.
it. We got through to the managers. They know that it's important.
Woohoo!
thank you, Franya,
Yay.
for taking the bullet twice.
We're a friend.
Alright. Anybody else have any closing thoughts? Like I'm always like I like really enjoy playing these team tours. Like playing with Z-Strats last year was definitely like probably the most fun I've ever had on this website. And like I'm super excited to play with Burns this year. But yeah, anybody else you want to say before we end?
Team
Follow me
tours
on Twitter
are
at Dead Gengars. Thank you very much.
good take. Good take. Yeah, no, team tours are super sick, and I always love coming back for them, and it's just great to participate in these tournaments. They're just a ton of fun.
Yeah.
Pokemon with friends, good.
For sure.
And of course, shout outs to the jerk.
Yeah.
Last thing I'm going to say too, then, is I'm just happy that we only have 1 week off instead of the usual 2,
Oh
which
my
I'm pretty sure it's been like every other season of like team
Shout outs
tournaments.
to TDs.
Yeah. Shout out to the TDs.
Thanks everyone for joining me. Like this was a ton of fun, and I hope people viewing like know more about your doubles player now. So I think this is a ton of fun, super successful, and maybe like we can do more of these like halfway through the season or at the end, discussing how things are done and such. But yeah, thanks for joining me. We'll see you next time. Woohoo.
Woo!